In the forsaken, shadow-laden realm of Elderville, where the air hung heavy with the sorrowful wails of the condemned, the tale of Humpty Dumpty was far from a whimsical nursery rhyme. It was a harrowing chronicle, steeped in dark secrets and twisted fates. Humpty was no mere egg precariously balanced on a wall. He was a grotesque, nightmarish figure, his shell riddled with deep cracks that exposed the putrid, decaying flesh beneath. His horrifying visage mirrored the essence of the town, long ensnared by an ancient evil that seeped through its cobblestone streets, corrupting the very fabric of life. Elderville was a place perpetually cloaked in twilight, where sunlight rarely pierced the dense, oppressive fog that shrouded it like a funeral veil. The residents, burdened by fear and superstition, lived in constant dread of old legends that spoke of a vengeful spirit thriving on anguish and despair. They whispered of the Eggman, a once jovial jester cursed for bringing laughter to a land that had forgotten joy. His twisted laughter, echoing through the night, lured the unsuspecting into his web of madness, promising horrors beyond comprehension. Humpty Dumpty resided atop a crumbling stone wall that separated the town from the accursed forest, a treacherous realm where shadows danced and darkness reigned supreme. The wall, in disrepair, mirrored Humpty himself. Both were relics of a bygone era, corrupted and tormented by unseen forces. His presence was a constant reminder of the unspeakable horrors lurking beyond, and the townsfolk often dared one another to approach him. They spoke in hushed, fearful tones of the seductive whispers drifting down from the wall at night, promises of unfathomable power and dark desires for those brave enough to scale it and join him. One fateful evening, a trio of friends, Lila, Marcus and Jenna, resolved to confront their fears. Drawn by the legends, the thrill of the unknown, and the tantalizing promise of eternal life, they approached the wall. An unnatural chill enveloped them, and a wave of dread washed over their senses. The fog thickened, coiling around their ankles like a living serpent, and Humpty's eerie laughter echoed through the air, wrapping around them like an ominous shroud. "Are you sure we should do this?" Jenna asked, her voice quaking with trepidation. "Don't be afraid," Marcus replied, trying to muster courage. "It's just a story. We'll prove it's a fairy tale." Lila, fueled by a reckless blend of bravery and folly, was the first to scale the crumbling wall. As she reached the top, her breath caught in her throat at the ghastly sight before her. Humpty sat there, a grotesque figure, his cracked shell oozing a viscous, dark substance that glimmered like oil in the dim light.
"Welcome,"
he croaked, his voice a chilling symphony that sent icy fingers creeping down her spine. "Are you here to uncover the truth?" Before Lila could respond, a sudden, blinding pain shot through her leg as a jagged fragment of the wall crumbled away, sending her plummeting backwards. She screamed as she fell, but the ground was not what awaited her. Instead, she landed in a grotesque heap of rotting corpses, their faces frozen in eternal agony. The faces of the town's missing persons flashed through her mind as she fought to escape, her hands slick with blood and entrails. Meanwhile, Marcus and Jenna, paralysed with horror, screamed in unison, but it was too late. The ground beneath them began to convulse, and the wall shattered like fragile glass under the weight of a terrible force. Humpty's maniacal laughter heightened, resonating through the night like a lunatic symphony. "Join me! Join me!" he howled, his eyes glinting with madness. In sheer panic, Marcus tried to flee, but the ground betrayed him. Tendrils of darkness erupted from the abyss, wrapping around his legs and dragging him into the depths of despair. His screams echoed into silence, consumed by the shadows, leaving Jenna precariously on the edge of the wall, horror etched across her features. "Help! Someone save him!" she cried, but Humpty's gaze was fixed upon her, his cracked smile widening with malevolent delight. "You cannot rescue him, my dear, but you can join me instead. Embrace the darkness that calls to you." Jenna felt an irresistible pull, a seductive force beckoning her to surrender to the abyss. The whispers of forsaken souls flooded her ears, promising power and liberation from fear. Yet, as she hesitated, she glimpsed Marcus, his body twisted and lifeless, devoured by the insatiable shadows. Fueled by a mix of rage and despair, Jenna stepped back, but the wall crumbled beneath her, and she plummeted into the darkness. She landed beside Marcus, their bodies entwined in a grotesque embrace, forever trapped in a macabre dance. Humpty's laughter echoed above them, a haunting melody that would eternally torment their souls. As dawn broke over Elderville, the townsfolk awoke to find the wall had vanished, replaced by a gaping chasm that seemed to breathe with a life of its own. The air grew thick with the stench of decay, and the only remnants of the cursed souls were the whispers that floated through the fog, warning others of the insidious darkness that lay in wait. Yet, the tale of Humpty Dumpty did not end there. In the days that followed, a peculiar occurrence began to unfold in Elderville. 2 little girls, clad in tattered white dresses, with egg-like heads and hauntingly innocent faces, emerged in the town square. They seemed to materialise from the fog itself, ethereal figures that captivated the townsfolk with their eerie charm. The girls, with their wide, glassy eyes and sweet melodic voices, began to sing the familiar tune of the Humpty Dumpty nursery rhyme. The haunting melody wafted through the air like a siren's call, enchanting and terrifying all at once. Their voices echoed in harmony, a chilling lullaby that sent shivers cascading down the spines of anyone who dared to listen.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
As they sang, the townsfolk were transfixed, unable to look away. With every verse, as they sang, the townsfolk were transfixed, unable to look away. With every verse, the air grew colder, and shadows danced around the edges of their vision. The girls' heads bobbed and swayed with an unsettling rhythm, their smiles widening as they sang, "Humpty Dumpty is a friend to us all. Come join him now, hear the dark call. All your fears, let them fade away. In the shadows, forever you'll stay." With each line, an oppressive sense of dread seeped into the hearts of the onlookers. They felt irresistibly drawn to the girls, as if an unseen force compelled them to listen, to follow. One by one, the townsfolk began to step closer, entranced by the haunting melody that promised a release from their fears. But as the last note of the song lingered in the air, a sudden, chilling silence enveloped the square. The girls' smiles transformed into eerie grins, their eyes glinting with malevolence. "Join us!" they sang in unison, their voices now echoing Humpty's madness. "Embrace the darkness, find your true home." The townsfolk, caught in a trance, began to fall into the chasm that had replaced the wall. Their terrified screams echoed in the fog, swallowed whole by the inexorable darkness. As the girls danced around the edge, their laughter merging seamlessly with Humpty's maniacal cackles. And so, the legend of Elderville grew darker, entwined with the sinister fate of those who dared to listen. Humpty Dumpty, the Eggman of Elderville, became a twisted figure of horror, his tale woven into the very fabric of the town. The 2 little girls, with their egg-like heads and haunting lullabies, became harbingers of despair, forever lingering in the shadows, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to lure into the depths of madness. In the end, Elderville devolved into a ghost town, a fading memory in the annals of time, haunted by echoes of laughter and the chilling refrain of the nursery rhyme that promised both joy and despair. And in the shadows, the whispers of lost souls continued to warn others of the insidious darkness that lay in wait, reminding all who dared to approach that some tales are better left untold, and some fates are sealed in the darkest of nights. Even now, if one listens closely amidst the fog, the haunting melody of the little girls can still be heard, a cruel reminder of the laughter that once filled Elderville, a laughter that now beckons others into the abyss.